Susie? Okay, we'll call this evening's board meeting to order and ask that you please stand for the salute to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a public hearing at this time. I'll ask our clerk to please read the public hearing notice.
Notice of public hearing for the proposed local law to expand the use of video conferencing scheduled for the 12th day of September 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Victor Town Hall was published and posted in the Daily Messenger newspaper on September 2nd, and a copy was also posted on the signboard of the Town Hall and our website.
Okay, thank you. And again, board members and members of the public, the need for this is we have been since the beginning of the pandemic under the governor's executive orders that allowed us to conduct Zoom meetings, virtual meetings, however you want to call them, and did not have to be in person. And earlier today, it was announced that the Governor Hochul would not be extending these executive order. So governing bodies such as this have to come up with certainly a local law and then a policy and procedures here as well. So this evening, we're just here to take public comments on the video conferencing as well. I mean, only on the local law, and we'll continue to work on what the policy would be for our town. We are taking action that would include the town board, planning board, zoning board of appeals, and conservation board. We have had situations where we've had some of our board members that, again, did not attend in person, and they were doing it virtually, but virtually at maybe on the boat, maybe at a ball field, and that's not the way this new law will be structured, and we are following public law number 103. So this has, it's different because there's, and I did send a number of publications to you late in the day that came from Albany, but to not be, you can certainly be necessarily absent, or you could attend virtually, but you have to be under more or less a extenuating circumstances, family emergency, things of that nature, and rather than say on vacation, that type of thing. So it changes things, and we do need. They are certainly encouraging physical presence. So more to come out as we put this policy together, and as far as a quorum as well. So within your public hearing notice, there is some language in there. So at this time, we'll take members of the public who care to speak for or against this local law. Now is an opportunity. Again, we ask if there's any members of the public that care to speak for or against this local law. Okay, hearing none. Ask for a motion to close the public hearing and reconvene at the regular meeting.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this time I want to declare Councilman Guinan necessarily absent this evening, and somewhere in the audience, there she is, representing Labella Associates this evening, Mary Stebline. Welcome, Mary. Thank you for joining us. Moving to meeting minutes of August the 22nd for your consideration. Looking for a motion to approve these meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain, I was not here.
One abstention. Abstention by Councilman Condon. Okay, at this point, we'll introduce the payment of bills, manifest number 17, and ask our clerk to please introduce this.
Manifest number 17 for 2022 in the amount of $781,073.77 has been reviewed by the Victortown Board with the following accounts charged: General Townwide, General Outside Village, Parkland Trust Fund, Highway Townwide. The lighting districts of Fishers, Brookwood Meadows, High Point, Cobblestone, Coil Ridge, Rolling Meadows, Stone Lay, and Legacy at the Fairways, S&S Consolidated Sewer Fund, and Trust and Agency.
Well, we know our highway superintendent certainly is aware that he and his staff have been very busy, but when you look at this and the residents of the town, now we have to pay the piper. So we'll start with payment to, he actually should have had two abstracts put together, one for all highway expenditures, not to pick on you because these are all good things, but first is payment to CP Ward for the final payment for the break-a-day repair, payment to D. Clark Distributing for the tack coat for the paving projects, payment to Harris Beach, August Legal Services, there are chargebacks of $475. Next is Hometown Energy, payment to Integrated Systems, payment to Labello Associates, professional services for August. There are chargebacks to developers included in there. Final cost to the town is $77,111.75. Payment to Lehigh Hanson, paving materials. Payment to Macedon Excavating and Paving for Raccoon Run and Deer Crossing paving project. Payment to NOCO Energy, diesel fuel purchased. Payment to RG&E, August Utilities. Cityon Landscaping, Deer Crossing Restoration. Payment to the Village of Victor for the reimbursement for paving and Veterans Memorial Materials. And payment to Villager Constructions for milling, for paving, assorted paving projects. The total of the above-mentioned expenditures equals $713,156.70. Total town expenditures minus these previous mentioned expenditures equals $67,917.07. Board members, any questions on this evening's abstract? Hearing none, entertain a motion to pay them.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving to privilege of the floor. This evening, privilege of the floor has been granted to BME Associates, Mr. Link Swedrock, and with him is Mr. Jerry Watkins. I don't know if Jerry's participating as well, but we'll introduce you, sir. And this is regarding open space area on Southgate Hills, section number 3. You know, Link, we should have all the maps, but I'm wondering if there's a way we could kind of, I know all the public can't see that, but maybe we could
Turn it around so they can.
turn it on a couple chairs if you would be so kind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening. Link Swedrock with BME. Like you said, Jerry Watkins is here with me from BRW of Greece LLC as well. So at the request of going through the planning process for Southgate 3, we've been working with the town staff and, we've been working on sort of these phasing for Southgate for a few years now. Basically now with Southgate 3, we're going through the planning process to get approval for the subdivision. And there's a piece of land that we had always sort of targeted that would be dedicated to the town for the portion along Auburn Trail for a parking lot and a trail connection to the Auburn Trail that would be used by the town to access the Auburn Trail there. It was sort of identified throughout the planning process that this was a good location to have this parking area and to allow for a public access to get to Lehigh Trail. The parcel is 2.8 acres. It's adjacent to the Auburn Trail. It's to the north of Southgate 3, which is where we're proposing on the east side of East Victor Road. And Basically, it's just sort of how the property laid out. This is sort of we laid the lots out. There's 10 lots proposed for our development in this area. The layout sort of changed from previous renditions of the plan, but I think we've developed the plan in conjunction with the town over the process. So what we're looking to do is that the planning and the staff asked us to come here to request that the town board consider taking this 2.8 acres of parcel of land, and then also, because that'll have the public parking lot and the trail access to it. It's also will be in a conservation easement, and we've put a conservation easement all the way around everything but the parking area. And pretty much this entire area is woods adjacent to the trail, and we're not disturbing it with our development. So it'll be existing wooded area that's to remain, and then the parking area will be clear. It'll just be cleared enough to get the parking in there and then have access to the trail. So we're in front of the planning board tomorrow night. So, basically, they wanted us to come get the town board's feedback on your thoughts on this parcel, so we could continue on the process with the planning board.
And Link, if you would, for clarification, originally was the pond part of the request, but that was removed?
Yeah, we originally submitted the subdivision plan to include the pond and the access drive off, but we got comments from staff that they didn't want to take the pond, so we revised the area to just include the wooded area and the parking area, and we changed it so the pond, our proposed pond, would be on a lot, which I think is what we're looking to do now with the drainage improvement area districts and things, which seems to be consistent with what we've done in Southgate 1 and 2. So there is an existing, so basically our proposed pond would be on a lot, and then we would be consistent with how we've done the last couple sections.
That pond is just to the south of that dedicated area?
Correct.
Yeah.
And there's another access drive off of East Victor Road to maintain the pond, basically.
Right.
And that would be on the lot as well. And the town would have an easement over the pond as well.
Yeah,
But it'd be owned beyond a piece of property, a private piece of property.
Right.
yeah, we'd rather not own ponds. I think we've had
Yeah.
a lot, but inclusion in the drainage improvement area, we understand that would be a future step.
Yeah, we're hoping to go in front of the planning board and get seeker done tomorrow, so we still have to go through preliminary and final.
And refresh my memory, the developer will put in the parking lot, or is that on us?
We're putting that in, the parking lot and the stone dust
That's what I
trail.
thought, right?
It'll be a stone parking lot and a stone dust trail.
Not looking for any more work for Brian. Right?
I just would ask, is it gonna be like it?
Brian, why don't you, or you know what?
I'll
We
get out
should,
of the
we
way.
should bring the portable microphone over there.
I'll get out of the way. Here you go.
My only question is, why isn't it dedicated parkland versus land? I mean, when you say land, it kind of becomes this, who's responsible for maintaining it? And
Well-
we have that a couple other places right now, and it begs the question on exactly what you can do with it versus what you can. If it's got a parking area that's serving as a recreational resource to access the trail, I would think that, then the town would take up and decide what that land was going to be used for, whether it's developed or undeveloped, regardless of it. But I would just want to understand, like, who does it fall under? If
Right.
it's town land versus town parkland.
Right. I'm not looking to have you have to mow another 3 acres either.
Yeah, it's wooded and brushy.
Right.
I've looked at it, I'm familiar
Right.
with the parcel, but I would just say, like, we have vandalism that comes down that trail and they deface our signs.
Yep.
That was one comment from my staff when I reviewed this with them. If someone decides to hunt that parcel, right, so it's got to be managed, because it's a wooded parcel and someone could certainly go in there and hunt it, and we would have to manage its use. I feel more comfortable if it's falling under parkland than it's just this town land? Is it the building department? Is it Parks Department? Is it the highway department? And-
Oh, if it's in conservation reserve or conservation easement area, or if it's under conservation and it can't be developed, doesn't that fall under codes?
I don't know, that's my question. I mean, we have some existing parcels of town land that are awkward to manage, whether it's half a pond,
Right.
or, that's town land, that's not necessarily parkland and not necessarily any facilities there, but yet we seem to, I want to prevent there being any type of gray area for the interpretation of who's responsible for, should someone put a tree stand in there? You're taking that, you have to, even though it's undeveloped, you have to understand that it becomes land that's public land, and there are certain patterns of use or unuse of it.
I have a unrelated question. Brian, do you happen to know, just to confirm that if we did take dedication of this land, that it does not affect the per property payment to the Parks and Rec Capital Reserve?
I mean, we would not waive it if we took dedication of it.
Yeah,
Would
I'm just
not
making sure that we would still get that even with the dedication of the land.
I would assume so.
Mhm.
I mean, you're not looking for the town to waive the fee in lieu of parkland requirement, are you, for the homes on the subdivision? You're just looking for it not to be assigned to one of the properties, right?
Right.
Right, so. Right, and and if we're taking that responsibility on, I want to make sure that we know going into it as a town that it's the responsibility of the Parks and Recreation Department for that 3-acre parcel, give or take.
In the planning board meeting, it was I think Adam
Yes.
spoke on behalf of your department.
Yeah.
And he was requesting that the parking lot be moved closer?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we're looking for out of this, is parking for how many vehicles?
Initially, it was 10 proposed, and we said we didn't really feel like we needed 10, and we brought it, our recommendation was 5. And that Keith would have a separate stormwater area to manage with an access into that. I reviewed the plans.
So,
But I'm trying to clarify, like, is it going to be, like, granted, it's not developed, but there's still, where does it fall under? What jurisdiction does it fall under for managing it?
so if I will continue, I guess outside of the parking, what's the benefit of us owning this land?
We could certainly put things there that are identified in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, and we certainly could plan for that parcel, but we don't have right now it wasn't a parcel that was identified by our residents in our Parks and Rec Master Plan for acquisition.
Right, it wouldn't have been.
So we could do something with it in the future, but we right now, at this point, don't have any plans for it other than just to leave it as open space.
And I know, I've even said it, they don't grow land anymore, and there's an opportunity to take it, but I think we certainly have significant amount of land right now that's under Parks and Rec jurisdiction. I don't see, outside of the parking, I don't see any value in having these additional acres unless someone wants to.
I agree with you on that point.
I mean, we have land that's adjacent to other developments that, ended up ours, and we have people putting playgrounds and putting all these other things that end up certainly, we run the risk of some kind of litigation that I don't want.
I just want to walk away with an understanding that if it is, let's own it.
My walk away for you is that you got a small parking lot of 5 cars or 6 cars to plow in the winter.
Okay.
That's all, that's what I'm looking for. That's my recommendation. Councilman Kohovic and Kuzamano?
Can I just ask one point of clarification? So the 2.8 acres that we're discussing, we're discussing that because it involves a parking area that would be controlled by the town versus at the lower portion of this piece of property, there's another area that would be dedicated over to the town as well? I mean, how is that different? So in the lower portion here, there's a proposed conservation easement to the town of Victor, which looks to be a much smaller area, maybe less than an acre.
The square around the parking area?
Yeah, no, to the lower portion of the development, across from Channing Court.
Well, that's part of the lot. That's just a conservation easement line.
I'm
Talking
sorry.
about the blue?
Oh, I misread the line, I apologize.
No
Small
problem.
print, I'm.
Yeah, the only area
We're discussing is
we're
up there.
discussing
Okay.
is that north.
Thank you, I entirely misread that.
And, I have it blocked out around the parking area because I was not putting that as part of the
No,
conservation
I
easement. 'cause it's a
apologize,
parking area.
that's my mistake. I have no question, Supervisor.
Okay. Well,
But do you have a comment about that, though, Drew, as far as owning it or not?
And I can empathize, I guess I understand what Brian's saying. Initially, I guess my initial opinion, when I started a couple of years ago was, why would we not want to accept land? And I think my opinion through some education and talking a lot with Parks and Rec and understanding the value added benefit of land, I think we need to cautiously approach, accepting land and the liability and litigation that could come along with that inherently. I think that there is a benefit to having parking there, and I think that if that, the value of that parking outweighed, the potential future risk of liability, I think it would be a worthwhile endeavor.
No, I like it. I think it's a good piece of property for us to have, as long as Brian feels that he can manage it. And, I think it would be Parks and Rec that would take care of that, in my opinion. And whatever the future holds for that, that's just another piece that, not saying you have to go in and develop it right away, but it just gives you another option at some point in the future to do what, as you see fit, or as who knows what comes next, We talked a lot lately about pickleball. Well, maybe there's another game that comes out 5 years from now that we might need some space and that might fit there. Who knows?
How many houses over there?
Could be, too. Different question, Link, real quick. So you said where the stormwater management facility is, that's going to be part of a lot. Do you foresee that as being part of 46 or 45 or its own separate lot?
It's part of 46.
Okay. So 46 goes down and it all the way to the road, right?
Yep.
Okay. That's the only other question I had.
I do recall, Brian, I know when we went with VHT and we were looking at that other piece of property along the creek last year, we parked adjacent to where we're discussing now, and I believe it's,
Down a little bit, yeah.
but you're parking on the roadway.
Yeah, there's definitely the need for parking. I wondered, could we own a smaller portion of that acreage that just covers the parking area and we don't need that much acreage, just, if it's just going to be a parking area.
Yeah, we want that.
Jerry Watkins with Friedman. So if we cut down the size from the 2.8 acres maybe to what Link's showing, is that something more you want? We would just increase one of the lots by that.
I think that's,
I'm just thinking that somebody's going to want to park there and walk the trail.
I think there should be a buffer from the homes, but I just don't know if we need that large of a parcel for that small of an
I
area
agree.
that's
I think you want to be able to park
co-located near the
5
trail.
to 6 cars or whatever, how many lots we decided, and then have a quick little trail to the Auburn, and then,
Yeah, something that doesn't send the
Yeah.
impression to the homeowners, what are you gonna build there, Brian?
Yeah.
A skate park, or some, because quite frankly, if it becomes under us, then we have to manage and determine what it's used for, and it might be undeveloped, but time might come to say that there's 180 new homes on that side of town, and you might want a playground or a skate park, or probably not pickleball, but, there you go.
yeah.
because it becomes your responsibility, did you see what Mr. Watkins?
Yeah, I just
kinda
think we don't
showed there?
need so much of the area. I think if it was covering this area here, and this was left wild to create the buffer from that area and the backyards,
How
then,
much land do we own in that other development, the strip on the other side of the road? I'm saying coming back
just-
towards town.
Sunray Crest?
So, yeah, Sunray Crest.
Behind there?
What do we have back in there?
I don't know, that's another case where it really wasn't land dedicated as parkland, so it's kind of like, does it fall under us, does it fall under
So
building?
it came to us as land, but not parkland.
Yeah, just so we should own the parking area. They should not have the liability of the parking area.
Oh, no, I agree with that.
Well, and we should own that area, but let's do it logically and not,
There's nothing magical about
yeah.
That line.
that line.
Yeah.
That's just how the property laid out.
Yeah, if we can, tighten that up a little bit, I think, that we should do it. We should definitely own the land, because we'll maintain that stone dust trail, and mowing of it, and the signage for it, and making sure that people are not cutting through yards to get to the trail there. I mean, that's part of our
Yeah.
neighborly thing, but. Okay, that's great.
So if the two of you would work with Brian, it's something that, and come back to the board with. Okay?
Thank you.
Mr. Watkins, can I ask a question? And this is purely just out of curiosity and for my knowledge. But when I look at that, why are they cut that way, the lots, so that the lots are comparable in size versus, and I guess the reason I ask it is, why wouldn't, I guess as a homeowner, a prospective homeowner looking to buy a lot, why wouldn't it be desirable for them to own a larger portion of that area that we're discussing?
Well,
Or is there a reason why I'm not familiar with?
so there's some crazy grades over there. So that's why we've come up with this design, so you have a buildable area and whatnot. And with the trees, as Link said, it's pretty heavily wooded, so we're just trying to keep some buffer from the main road.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think if you look at some of the lot sizes, Drew, that are being built today, people don't want a lot to take care of outside. I mean, you and I
Yeah.
would like to have, hey, we got another half acre of woods, that's great,
Yeah.
right? But there's a lot of people that don't want to deal with that, you know?
Yeah, because in my neighborhood on a cul-de-sac, I have 1.5 acres. My neighbors all have 2.5. They get an extra acre of woods. I'm very jealous about that.
Right.
So, I mean, I would think in this, if I was buying the lot, I would see it desirable to have that extra space, but maybe not everybody does. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you both. Brian, thank you as well. Okay, public comments and concerns, an opportunity for members of the public to care to address the town board. And at this time, I'll also ask Ms. Mandrino to give me a head shake that there's no one on YouTube that's interested. Okay, moving to reports of town officials. You have in your packet a report from our finance director, town historian, Parks and Recreation, Victor Fire Department, and the Victor Traffic Report for the month of July, I think it was. Board members, any questions on those reports?
No.
Okay, real quick, two items that, again, you've heard this before, at least the first one, tomorrow evening at Farmington Town Hall, there's a joint town board meeting between Victor and Farmington, and this will be the presentation for the Farmington Victor Ambulance Corps, and that's at 6:30 tomorrow night prior to the start of the Farmington Town Board meeting. And the other thing is I want to applaud Casey Page for her continued efforts with recycling and whatnot, but this was a request came from the robotics director up at the Victor Central School, requesting a partnership with the town of Victor and regarding the Victor Robotics Recycling Drive. And this will be on October 1st, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. up on Victor School campus. I think it was over last year. My memory is over by the varsity baseball diamond. Funding, Casey, to her credit, was able to work through the county and come up with some grant money from the county to assist, and so there's no cost to the school district, and actually the county grant will pick this up. So that is, again, October 1st, 9 a.m. to 1 of the Victor Central School campus. Board members, any board member have a committee they would like to report on?
Supervisor. I just have a couple things I'd like to share.
Oh,
My deputy wanted me to share this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So for the month of August, we issued 47 Boughton Park permits. 45 handicap permits, and to this day, the year to date, we've done 70 marriage licenses. So we've been busy.
Thank you. That's a good report. Your deputy's keeping you
She is.
on task. That's good. Very good. Okay, moving to resolutions this evening. We have one couple coming out of the Highway Department. The first is a purchase of a 2022 Cat M318.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution is passed. Number 2 is a budget transfer to fund this new equipment purchase.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is approved. Number 3, from the IT Department, authorization for the supervisor to extend the existing agreement with Empire Access, and you should know that there is actually a reduction in the price over this 3 years of this agreement, and it's actually, they've added some additional much-needed items over at the court. The reduction comes from reduction in the number of analog telephones and older equipment as well. So,
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
From Parks and Rec, authorization of the purchase of a Fisher heavy-duty snowplow.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 4 is passed. Number 5, authorization for the purchase of a Honda GX 160.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 5 is passed. Number 6, after public hearing, this is the proposed local law to amend chapters 90 dogs and 148 parks. You'll recall there was only one, it was a written comment submitted at the public hearing 2 weeks ago. There was no public input at that meeting that evening. Looking for a motion to approve this.
I have a question. I mean, I'm not going to be a stickler about it, but I'm trying to think, and I asked the town clerk, maybe she might have a little bit more knowledge. Do you ever see cats on leashes? I mean, it says dogs and cats on leashes, and I'm thinking, I've never seen a cat on a leash, ever. Ever. Does anybody?
Not to make you laugh, but I've seen a piglet.
Well, piglet.
You weren't supposed to laugh.
But I'm just, I mean, I'm in favor of a dog being on leash, no question about it. You know, I'm in favor of all that, but I'm thinking, I'm not in favor of necessarily sometimes passing an ordinance or law that we can't enforce. And I'm just thinking the whole cat thing, I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, just saying.
Full disclosure, the piglet was not in this town or this county, okay? I just want to go on record and say that.
So.
Good point. And I hope to never see a cat on, what size cat that would be, but.
Exactly. Yeah, it could be a big cat, so maybe we should leave it in there, right? So, all right, so moved.
Second.
And we have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution number 6 is passed. After, number 7, after public hearing, this is again the proposed change to local law 188. This is citizen exemptions here.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 7 is passed. Drainage improvement areas, extension, Southgate Hills, sections 1 and 2.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a first, a second. Again, there was no public comment at the public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 8 is passed. Number 9, out of the town clerk's office, Southgate Hills, 2, utility letter of credit release number 1. And the release is for $82,129.46.
So moved.
Second.
All those in, we have a second? Yes, we do. My apologies. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Resolution number 9 is passed. Public comments, an opportunity again for the public to address the town board. And Ms. Mandrino, one on YouTube. public? Okay. I do need a motion to go into executive executive session to discuss medical, financial, credit, or employment history.
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I need the town board and director of finance, and that's it. Everyone else is excused. And the conclusion of that will be an adjournment.
Yep.